Your breakthrough isn't what you already have. See, look at Moses. Moses, talking to the burning bush, said, I don't have anything. I'm not of value. And God said, what do you have in your hand? Moses had a staff. Now, that staff was a part of many miracles that ended up setting the Israelites free, from turning into a serpent to even parting the Red Sea. In fact, Moses was standing in front of the Red Sea, looking over at the sea, and then seeing the enemy coming at us, said, don't be afraid. God's going to set us free. And God speaks to Moses, what are you doing? Use your staff to part the sea. God gave him something that he already had because he surrendered it to God. Now, next we have a widow speaking to a prophet. The prophet was hungry, Elijah. He wanted her to make him a cake of bread. She said, I only have enough oil and flour to make one cake for my son and I, and then we shall die. But through some other events that Elijah told her to do, she ended up making him that last cake, celebrated with her, and ate. And she never ran out. She already had something. Gave it to the man of God, gave it to God, and then it was blessed more. Now let's go a little forward to a crowd of 5,000 people listening to Jesus speak. And Jesus was led with compassion for them and says, they're hungry. And if I were to send them home now, they'd starve before they get, because we're so far from town. And the disciples are saying, we don't have anything to give. We don't have enough. And Jesus asks, well, what do you have? Well, we have 5 loaves and 2 fish. And that was more than enough. As Jesus gave thanks to what they had, they were able to feed all with leftovers, with more than enough, with more than they started. See, why is this such an important thing? Because we always seem to look at where we lack. We don't have enough. We don't have enough. We don't have enough. I got to hoard what I have. I got to keep what I have. Oh, my spiritual gifts. I got to train myself. I got to work on them more before I share them. I got to sit there and read more. I got to understand more before I can walk out. I got to understand the gospel more before I can go share the gospel. I got to sit there and pray in my closet more for people's healings before I am bound with more faith to touch someone and actually have God use me to heal him. But God's saying, you already have it. Give it to me. See, we don't need to worry about what we're going to say to lead someone to Christ, because we have a testimony. We just speak what he's done. Give it to God. We don't need to worry about if I lay my hands on someone and pray for their healing if they're not healed, because it's God who does the healing. God says, trust me with it. Just do it. See, our breakthrough is what we already have. We just have to give it to him. And everything that we need, if we need abundantly more of something, we need to give what we have to him. We see this in tithing. We see this in offering. We see this in healing. We see this in everything in Scripture. It's give it to God. Surrender it to God. Take it out of your hands and give it to God. Moses had a stick. And through it, a sea was parted. The widow had flour and oil, and in it, a man of God was filled, and then she was filled until the drought was over. A boy had 2 fish and 5 loaves, enough for just his family. And once he gave it to God, he had probably more than enough to bring home to feed them even longer. Stop looking for excuses to hoard and start giving what you have. Just spread out, because there is a promise that God says to us. He says, don't worry about tomorrow. For tomorrow will worry about itself. Don't store up the things for tomorrow, because he feeds the birds. He clothes the flowers. Are we not more important? We need to stop worrying about what we have for tomorrow. Our families are taken care of. Things are good. The world is trying to make us turn our backs, saying, I need to do this, I need to do this, when it entrusts us, I need to give this to God. I need to give this to God. I need to give this to God. Let go and entrust His word.